bearded Biomed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an all-new episode of your favorite podcast, Bearded Biomed. Today, I'm joined with another friend of the show. We've kind of been communicative, through LinkedIn and a plethora of other Biomed platforms. So it was due time to get this gentleman on here. If you are not aware who he is, you'll get to know him quite quickly. But I mean, he's doing a lot for the field in a lot of different interesting ways. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you as Carlo V.
And that
Just
sounds
make it easier. Yeah. Carlos, welcome to the show, man. I'm happy to have you on. I'd love for, before we get into just talking shop, give a little bit of your background, where you come from, what you're doing today.
Sure.
Give me the play-by-play, sir.
No problem. I just wanted to start thanking you for the opportunity of being here in your podcast, and to give you kudos for taking the initiative to do this podcast, guy. Because it makes me like really really happy to see the newer generation getting involved, getting engaged, sharing their knowledge and promoting the field. So it makes me very very happy that you're doing what you're doing. So kudos to you, and
Well,
hope that you can
see,
still
now you got me
doing
to
all that
ask.
stuff.
How old are you? Because you look my age.
I'm 51 years old.
Dude, I need to get on your regimen. You look fantastic for
Thanks so much.
51.
I appreciate that. Really. I think it's a beard. It's a beard.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. As I tell everybody, it's something that I've wanted to do and that I'm passionate about, just like I know you're passionate about spreading the word of the profession, just trying to create hype and excitement and motivate people and drive people towards what this amazing career field we have.
It's a great field to be in, and let me tell you, in my case, before I was a biomed, I studied electronics engineering in Puerto Rico. So probably in 1998, I started my first website. I still have it running. It's called techniciansfriend.com. And at that time, we didn't have like any idea that what the internet was going to become, I didn't know anything about podcasts or YouTube or anything like that at that time. So I used to give like repair tips to people taking pictures with a Mavica Sony digital camera. It was a camera that used to use a floppy disk inside to take pictures. So just
Oh
imagine
God. Yeah,
how
you
many
date
years
yourself there,
ago.
man.
So at that moment, I was obviously all sharing all my information. I did it for free, and I used to take pictures of my repairs and share the repairs with other people from Argentina, South America. It's mostly Spanish speaking countries. So everything has been evolving because from that experience 25 years ago, I started like writing articles for a Mexican electronics magazine that is called Electrónica y Servicio. And I wrote a couple of articles of repairing electronics and stuff like that. And at the same time, I was taking biomed courses during the night. So I was working for Panasonic sales company at that time, repairing techniques, amplifiers, and all that stuff. But my concern at that moment was that everything was going, like disposable. People weren't repairing electronics as they used to because everything was much more affordable. So I went to study biomed during the night, and that was like the best decision that I made because after that my career has been in biomed. So with all those original experiences, I think that prepared me like really really good for what I do as a biomed and what I do to share what I know. So basically, after I moved to Florida in 2002, I've been like really involved in the career. I started being a member of BAMI, that's the Bay Area Association of Medical Instrumentation here in Tampa. And for 15 years, I've been, the webmaster of the site. I've been president for the last 10 or 12 years. I'm giving classes during the night. So as you were saying, when you really really enjoy what you do, it's not a job, it's a hobby. So this is why I try just to share everything that I can with newer students or anybody that is interested in the field.
I would even go further to say it's just a hobby, man, because that's time, energy, probably blood, sweat, and tears mixed into that as well.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But I always think about the positive aspects of it. The amount of people that I've met during my career, the amount of knowledge and the amount of people that I've learned from is incredible. So I can't complain. You have your ups and downs in your career, but all those ups and downs brings you to what we're doing here today. You see, so
And we have so
I can't
many
complain.
amazing examples in the field too that kind of push us towards greater heights as well. I mean, and there's still, what's crazy is a lot of the OG, the original biomeds that like have paved ways and kind of created systems that we still use today or are still speaking on to the next generation. They're still at it. They're still that's I usually say biomeds are probably one of the hardest people to get to retire because they don't want to
I
stop doing
think
what
so. I
they're doing.
think so. My experience, as I was in another field, I was in the electronic repair field before I came into Biomed. My transition to Biomed was really easy because the troubleshooting methods and stuff like that was like really similar. But what I love and I still enjoy about the Biomed field is the attitude of the people. When you're in another field, maybe you are bumping heads with somebody else, or you don't want to share what you know because somebody else is going to steal your ideas. Biomed is completely the opposite. In our case, the most important thing is the safety of that device to be used on a patient. So it doesn't matter if you work for another company or another hospital. If I ask you to help me with a device that is going to save a life, you're going to help me. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I think that that is the most important thing in Biomed. 99% of the people that I met in the field are like really, really willing to help. And it's been fantastic with ups and downs as we were mentioning, but basically the attitude of the people, I love it.
Well, there is a promising future ahead of the field. I keep seeing all these newer men and women joining the field, showing off their biomed diplomas. I get reached out to all the time of people that are interested in getting into the field and asking what college programs can I look at, what kind of training can I go after. There seems to be more. I don't know if it's a result of everything between Justin, myself, Bryant, you, and then everything that Amy's doing. If that I assume some of it's played a part.
Yeah, I
Or
think so because we have been making like some noise for probably the last 10 years. Everything has been like a little more,
Mhm.
you can hear about Biomed much more than before than that time. So
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to jump on the bandwagon. I've only been doing the show for 2 years now, so I'm still happy with. I can't believe the most rewarding thing I get is when somebody messages me and says, "Hey, you push me to go after this," or I found out about the field through you, or like
I understand
that
perfectly.
stuff's cool, man. Like,
Yeah, there's a satisfaction that you feel like you can put a money amount on that. Let me give you an example. In 2008, I wrote my first biomed book. At that moment, obviously, as you can notice, my first language is not English, it's Spanish. When I was a student in Puerto Rico and I was studying biomed, there were no biomed books in Spanish. So I always had this thing that, man, I should do something for the students so they don't have like so much trouble to understand about the field. So in 2008, I wrote a book in Spanish that is called Biomed from the Student's Perspective. Long story short, I started like distributing the book like in Spain and Mexico and stuff in places like that. But people started over here in the States asking me, you should translate that to English. And after the translation, I have sold more of the English version than the Spanish. But what I understand is that people, when you talk about biomed and what we do, it's kind of a niche. People don't know that much
Very
about it.
much so.
And one of the funniest thing that happened to me was that one time I received an order from a book, and when I saw the address of the person that ordered the book, it was almost my neighbor. It was like a, you know, really nearby person that lives, near my house. So I decided, instead of that, made that person pay for shipping, I just knock on his door and gave the book to his hand. And it was really funny to see the face. I'm not. I returned with a $5 bill and the book and said, "I'm not going to charge you for the shipping." And he started laughing. The idea was that that guy got like so hooked into Biomed that he started joining the local Biomed association. He finished an associate's degree. He used to be a car mechanic, and he's one of my best friends, and he's been in the field for more than 10 years.
That's
So
pretty
that
cool, man.
satisfaction of having
Yeah.
someone that you put like that little seed there and grab his interest, and it's incredible. I have probably like 4 or 5 of my students from SPC as my co-workers today, and that satisfaction, you can't pay that with any amount of money.
No, and you can look back and directly see where you influenced the people that are alongside you,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
had a direct hand in them getting into the field. See, this is when I speak of a lot of our senior people that are in the field, either my amount, because I've been in the field over 15 years now. And then you got the folks like yourself, and then those that have been doing it even longer.
Mhm.
There needs to be, I feel like if you're willing to devote 20, 30 years, I've known some even to do more to the biomed field, then I wish people were more engaged in trying to provide outreach and mentorship and kind of, put more time, energy, and, effort into the generation that's coming up under them.
I think that sometimes we need to take the initiative to start that, because I'm pretty sure, and I've done it before, people that were my coworkers before that are retired, I call them to do like a presentation to my class, and they are willing to do it. Even they have been retired for 2-3 years, and I call them and they come and do it. Maybe if we take the initiative and ask them to help, they will do it. Maybe they don't know how to take the initiative themselves. But I'm pretty sure that most of the
Yeah, no,
people
that's a
that I
good
know
point.
that are retired, if you approach them, they will help you. Because it has happened to me before.
No, I think it's a good, it's on us that are where we are now to, kind of corral the rest of the field to follow suit and
Yeah.
invest, because this field's not going to get any smaller.
No.
Last episode I was talking about, like the medical device field is growing exponentially, and when you factor in the technology that is getting added to medical devices, along with cybersecurity, along with everything else that goes involved, telemedicine, all of it, like the work is not slowing down,
Not at
but the amount
all.
of people entering the field is not. I don't know, I guess you would say comparable to what we need them to be, which is why it's so important.
Mhm. I think that our field has changed. I've been a biomed here in Florida for 21 years. When I started, biomed was like a completely different world from IS or IT. They will do their networking stuff over there. We will do our PMs in our area. And everything has been like interlacing so much that most of the biomedical clinical engineering rooms or departments in the hospitals are under the IS umbrella now. And it's been like challenging. I'm not going to lie, it has been like a little difficult sometimes, but it shows you a different perspective of the field and healthcare in general. Um, we have been involved in so many projects, working with security with IS. Something as easy, Chase, as blocking the USB ports in front of a medical device has saved us like so many times of trouble. It's kind of funny because the default of a person that is in front of a computer is, hey, I have a phone and I need to charge it. Oh, there's a USB port. Let me connect my phone there.
Yeah.
And you don't know if you're connecting that into a medical device, how you are breaching the security for that device. So, uh,
Well, let's. I think I posted. Yeah, it was last year. I had posted. I walked up to a crit line. Um, they use them in dialysis clinics a lot, and I walked over to it, and I noticed that there's a USB cable plugged into an Ethernet port, and it was shoved up in there, and it damaged the whole interface. So it's not even the fact that there's the cybersecurity aspect of people doing that, but there's also the people are just going to take their cords and just shove them where they please.
And it's kind of scary because people should be aware that that's a device that is there to diagnose or save the life of a person. And sometimes they don't think about it. And basically, we need to be like some kind of psychologist sometimes. I joke with my students all the time saying that repairing and maintaining electronics is easy. Repairing the people is a difficult part. But a part of that, you never get bored in this field. There's so much to do, so much to learn, and so many challenges coming on a daily basis because your day can change in a heartbeat. You receive like a stat call, you're doing something, you need to stop what you're doing and take care of an emergency.
So
I,
are you a part of like a in-house program, third party?
yeah, we are in an in-house program. They went in-house like 16 years ago. I arrived to the system probably like 15 years ago.
So like I said, you got over 20 years in the game now. What's some of the craziest repairs or maybe calls that you've gotten?
So many, man.
I
I
this is
remember
the fun
one
part.
time. I think that the fun. Let me see. Probably being on call and receiving calls at 2 a.m. For a nurse call system on a hospital years ago. This was probably like 17 years ago. Um, the nurse call was activating the alarm, and just imagine it was like 2 a.m. and you needed to basically go room by room, waking up each one and bothering each one of the patients there. Long story short, I found out that somebody managed from a hill run bed. They managed to push the connector to the wall. It's a 25 pin connector. Somebody
Yeah.
managed to put it upside down and push it in.
Yeah, that's not a regular square. This is
No,
a trapezoid.
exactly. There's you would think there's no way that someone can do that, and somebody did. So after the third or fourth room, I disconnected the bed and I look at the plug, and the alarms went quiet. So okay, this was the problem. When I took the flashlight and look at it, it was like incredible. Somebody managed to screw up a whole system on a on a department in the hospital just because they abuse of a device.
That gives me an idea for a poll, because I would argue that either nurse call cables or power cables to devices are the two most damaged like things that you're going to come across as a biomed. And I'm kind of curious, like I'll put that poll up this upcoming week.
That'd be
Um,
interesting to know. But
I want to know, like, have you came across more nurse call cables that are damaged or more power cords that are damaged? I
wow, that
think
will
it'll
be
be
interesting to
interesting poll.
that will be interesting
Yeah.
to see. And depends on the environment that you're working too. Because, for example, if you are working in the ER, everybody is running with a stretcher somewhere, and you will have like somebody like pulling the the cord, the AC cord from the wall and stuff like that. So it's pretty common.
Yeah, the number one thing in ERs that probably go down are probably the stretchers because they all get rammed into the side of the wall. I have one hospital right now. They have 12 down, 10, 15 stretchers, the old
Wow.
Stryker big wheels that are end of life.
Yep.
All patient left side rails are just trashed. Every single one, all the same side, the same spot. And I'm like, we can't get parts for these anymore. You've completely flailed them.
What I think most of the time is that people complain, hey, people keeps doing the same mistakes and the same errors. I think that that's job security for us.
It is. But part of, I think, a biomed's job, besides fixing the equipment, like you alluded to, is also fixing the person, and not so that they need fixing. It's just changing their scope of perception on when it comes to a medical device.
It's an education thing, I think. Most of the time, they are not aware of the cost, or when the department is not hit on their budget when something gets broken, they don't understand. Every time that you break an infusion pump, an infusion pump can be from $3,000 to $9,000 each.
Yeah.
And when you actually talk to the person and explain, hey, do you know how expensive it is? Be a little more careful. Make sure that you have it plugged in all the time.
Well, there's a mantra that we had in the Army. It said, nothing will ever get lost or broken by accident because you are liable for it.
You have a point there.
When money talks, people tend to pay attention. So, which another aspect of that too is every hospital is different. Obviously, they're owned by different entities. They're different setups. You can have a hospital that has a department budgetary allegation, and you can have them towards a full scope, like a pool. I tend to find the ones that the individual departments have to meet a certain budget. They tend to be a little bit more caring about how things are managed. But then again, if you personally are not invested in maintaining something, why would they care? Besides, unless you have that person such as us that does care, doesn't want you to have to pay this amount of money just to get something to fix that could have been avoided anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it. Something that has worked for me sometimes is I go to the manager of the department and I bring her like pictures. Hey, I just wanted to consult something with you. I've been repairing this device a couple of times and I'm noticing that this part is broken. Do you notice that if you do this, it can break? No, I didn't know. Make sure that, talk to your nurses and make sure that that doesn't happen again. And, that helps sometimes. I remember years ago, probably you work with the Medfusion 3500s.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Many years ago, this probably was like 15 years ago, in a hospital that I worked, they were using that device to feed the babies with breast milk. That's a horizontal device with a syringe that goes horizontally. They were using vertically, and every time that device leaked some milk, it went directly to the mechanism. So it was horrible. Basically, I opened in a week probably like 6 or 7 of them that has, this sounds disgusting, but it looks like cheese inside of the mechanism. It was destroyed. So as I was telling you before, I just went to the manager with some of the pictures. This is what you have a reason for using it the way that you're using it, but looks what's happening with those mechanisms. And basically it stopped. So education and talking to the right people and explaining the details, sometimes it works.
So Biomeds, we also have that silent hero aspect of the job. A lot of the time when we're fixing something or addressing something, it's in the biomed shop or during after hours, or when eyes aren't necessarily on us, when we have to just make things ready to go for the next shift or whatever. And we all have those kind of repairs that we look back on, or like, that's why I do the job.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like it's not so much something that you could have potentially gotten a thank you for, but something that like, you know, immediately once you got it up and going, like there's a sense of pride that you felt in yourself as a technician.
And that happens on, I can tell you, it happens almost on a daily basis. In the hospital that I work, I'm in charge of the OR, and it's a women's hospital. Just to give you an example, this week there was a procedure happening in one of the rooms, and the video wasn't coming through, and the printer wasn't working in the tower. It was like one of those endoscopy looking towers. Um, Apparently they are supposed to test all the equipment before they start the case, and you know that happens a lot of times. So you feel that pressure that, Carlos, this is not working. We're in the middle of a case, and you need to dress up and put your scrubs and run over there. So I needed to reconnect the cables, the DVI cables of the device in the right place. Probably it took me like 3 minutes. Then we needed to reboot the main computer and everything, but everything started working, and I left. I'm not waiting for anybody to tell me, "Hey, thank you, Carlos, for taking care of that." I just feel proud that I did something for someone, and they finished the case, and everything went okay.
Yep.
And this is one of the things that every biomed should think. You know, whatever you do, it can affect you, a family member, a friend, a significant other. So every time that I deal with devices, I always think, hey, it can be my mom on that surgical table using that device. So that sense of pride that you're mentioning, you mentioned, I can feel it, and I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah. So what's there's been a lot of, I guess, a lot of buzz, a lot of things that are being generated over the past few months. For instance, Tech Nation
Yeah,
launching the Techie Awards, which
I
I thought was awesome
that's
because
amazing. That's amazing. You know, uh, the just having us being considered for for something that we're doing just for the sake of it from a certain point of view, you know. um, it was amazing. I received a letter from the editor one day saying that somebody mentioned my channel, my YouTube channel, and that I was one of the finalists. Man, I started my channel probably like 7 or 8 months ago. Actually, I entered late to this bunch of people doing stuff online. You know, I started like doing some stuff, writing books and doing like a website and giving tips and stuff like that. But it was like really funny, Chase, because it was my wife who pushed me into starting a channel. She started one day, probably this was probably like in February or March of last year. She started like, Carlos, you know, you're giving classes, you're involved with the BAMI association and stuff like that. You should start a channel. And I say, I don't know if I have the time. You can make the time because you always make the time. One day, Chase, I got home from work, and she's on her computer and she's doing something. And a couple of minutes later, she gave me a thumb drive. And I said, what is this? That's the introduction to your channel. So the introduction that you see on my channel that has music
she
in the
made,
background with my picture, that was my wife. Okay.
that's awesome, man.
So I felt I'm so proud of her. And basically, after that initial push, I started like, you know, like writing a list of themes on an Excel spreadsheet. I have so much to talk about from our field that I know that I have like material enough for a couple of years, and probably that happened to you too. This is an amazing field, and just the idea of sharing what you know and learning a little more from each other is fantastic. I love this stuff.
I mean, there's a couple things in there that I want to touch on. So with the Techies, while it was cool that I was nominated, and along with yourself, very rightly so, I appreciated it from the aspect of, so I love what Amy does as well.
Mhm.
But usually when you're submitting for an Amy Award, there's a whole process along with it, recommendation letter. You know, you gotta there's a vetting process usually within all that. So it's not so much that your colleagues are voting for something. And I
That makes
think
a big difference. Yeah.
that's been the biggest gripe, I think, from a lot of Biomeds perspectives with the Amy Awards, is that they are rightly so. They're something that I hope to have at some point in time in my career. But when I saw that we were doing the techies, where it's people submitting a name, people voting on a name, there's a direct link to where it's like, it's almost like remember the old days of American Idol?
At the
That's
beginning,
kind of
yeah.
what I feel like it is a little bit like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's cool to be recognized, but I love the fact that we have something in place now to where everybody can recognize each other.
Yeah, it's like
Because the
from
biggest
Biomeds by Biomeds. So
the
yeah,
biggest advocate of Biomed is Biomed. And there's people that were nominated that I had maybe heard of, but I hadn't heard their story per se. One of which we already know he's been awarded the award was Pat Lynch.
uh-huh.
A lot of people know Pat. I've heard of him, but I've never actually spoken to the
You
gentleman.
haven't met him. He
No.
Chase, Pat is an institution. I met him in one of the Florida Biomedical Society symposiums, probably in 2007, 2008. I remember that he worked for GMI for some years, and I from certain point of view, I told him once, man, I envy your job, because when he was working for that company, he was traveling the whole U.S., becoming member of each one of the biomed associations that he can, and giving talks. So we invited him to our BAMI meeting. He was doing like talks on the Florida Biomedical Society symposiums. He went to Georgia Biomedical and stuff like that. And he used to bring like so many stories. And I think that that's why everybody knows Pat. He has been in the field like forever.
Yeah.
He knows everyone, and he's the
Everybody's heard of him.
exactly.
And I thought it was cool knowing that he's retired, that, everybody was like, yeah, this guy needs to get this
No,
award.
it was well
Even
deserved.
Vincent Wang was like, hey, I'm still working. Don't y'all retire me yet. Vote for Pat. That cracks
Yeah,
me up. But I'm like,
that was
that's
nice.
the kind of energy that the techies are all about, which I'm fully supportive of. Which
He's a great guy, let me tell you. And he's retired, but if you have an opportunity of meeting him, he's like so positive in talking about all the changes in the field and stuff like that. Having a conversation with him is awesome.
he'll be on. He is on the bucket list of interviews for me. I'm slowly getting. I have a long list. Let's be honest. He's one of them on there. Someday I'll have Bensing Wang on too. Like when I talk about the OGs, the guys that have been doing it and they did it the right way and they led the way. I'm happy for him. Congratulations, Pat.
Same here.
I'm excited to see all the other awardees too, because there's some good groups of folks that got interviewed or nominated for a lot of these awards.
If you have the opportunity of having that old generation here, it's amazing. They are like walking encyclopedias. I can tell you from the top of my head like 5 names of people that have been retired. And every time that I have like a question, I know who to call to ask. They know their policies and procedures, and from
if you
top to
got
bottom.
numbers, go ahead and name drop.
No, I can send you an email with a couple, and I'm pretty sure that they will be like very, very helpful. Telling you stories. Some of them are still not retired. They should, but they
Like
are
I
not
said, it's
retired.
hard to make a biomed retire.
Yeah, I don't think that you retire from Biomed.
I already told the wife, I'm like, I'm probably going to be doing this until like I got a foot in the grave. Man, I think too. Even just for instance, the influencers like yourself, me, Brian, Justin, whoever doesn't win this year, there's always opportunity for all the other ones, to get an influencer award next year.
In
I
my
just
case, I said it like so recent that I was like blown away just to be considered. I'm not expecting to win at all because I shouldn't be even a competition to anybody, especially.
let me stop you there, and I am going to do myself a disservice and argue for you for a second. So, besides the fact that you are actually teaching and involving your time with the next generation through schooling, and you have actually brought multiple people, you have influenced them into the biomed field. Then you go on and start this YouTube channel. Obviously your wife had to push you onto it,
Yep.
make your video and everything. That's hilarious. She made you an intro. Um, your channel is just like I tell everybody. Me and Justin are not competing, which I can't compete with that dude anyway. He's got like
Oh
16,000
yeah, yeah. He's
subscribers.
been doing
He's
that
been
for
doing
five
this for
years easily.
years. Everybody knows better biomed, but we are all hitting different aspects of the field in different ways. So Justin, he really gets into the technical aspect of it and, hitting different facets and interviewing different folks about different types of technology. Me, I am approaching it from a sit down casual, hey, let me hear your story, and just kind of, I like to say I'm the Joe Rogan of the field, or at least that's what I hope.
Nice.
Um, Brian, he's coming at it from, years and years of wisdom, and he puts out so many different motivational videos and stuff
He's
that
like completely
everybody vibes
positive
with.
all the time. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then you are filling a key aspect with your videos because you were hitting the Spanish influence. People that are listening and watching to your videos are folks that probably are never going to watch me or Justin or Bryant because you are resonating with them on a cultural, a language barrier that we probably will never tap into like you can. And that's fantastic because a lot of people don't realize or maybe just think about is biomed doesn't just stop at the United States.
Oh, definitely.
There's especially South America, there's a huge medical device industry down there. And I get emails from them too, asking them for support and documentation and all kinds of stuff. So the fact that you are building that bridge for the folks that, can resonate with your message and what in your story and what you have going on, that's special. And
Thank you. Thanks so much, and I appreciate that.
it's important, man.
So we don't we are not aware of how easy from certain point of view is for us to find like the correct information, the parts, and the support living here in the US. People in other countries, they don't have that support. If there's any way that I can help and I can be like some kind of middleman between a manufacturer or somebody finding parts to do a repair, we are doing the same job, making sure that a device is safe to be used by a patient. So one of the things that I figure out was a niche is the Hispanic community here in the US. I know a
Yep.
bunch. If you see, especially here in the Florida area, a big quantity of our biomeds are Hispanic. Obviously,
Biomed girl.
exactly.
I
From Tampa to Miami to Orlando.
I think between the two of you, like y'all are truly embracing, everything you're talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, I just congratulate her because she mostly does her stuff on Instagram and she does some TikTok as well. She just hit 1,000 on 1,000 followers on Instagram.
That's
I
awesome.
thought that was pretty cool. I was like, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. She does really cool content. She'll do videos in English, videos in Spanish. She'll talk about breaking down equipment. She'll talk about
And
her.
seeing everything from a female perspective,
Yes,
that's like
exactly.
amazing,
Yeah, that's her niche. That's her audience.
Yeah.
We all have our own audiences and what we're trying to do in different ways. So, give yourself a little bit more credit is what I'm saying.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that, man. But I enjoy what I do. Being a biomed has been like blessing in my life. Repairing equipment is it's my hobby, has been my hobby forever. If I'm not doing like uh, talks and stuff like that, or being involved in the biomed community, I'm fixing stuff in my garage. It's like a lifestyle for me. So I have absolutely no problem
Most
sharing
of
what
us
I
have
know.
these kind of hobbies at home too. I always see videos of Justin like fixing. One of his little things he does offline is he'll work on meat slicers. Is what he told me.
That's awesome.
He fixes commercial meat slicers,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's always tinkering with stuff. Like you say, you fix stuff in your garage. I like to like modify and do stuff with like video gaming consoles and stuff like that.
Cool.
A lot of boards, soldering, all that kinds of stuff. That's just lets me get my little.
People laugh at me because they don't know. My hobby is always fixing something. And one of my hobbies is that I used to build and repair guitars, electric guitars. And
That's cool.
I'm not a musician. I can't play a full song yet, but if you give me an electric guitar and I need to do like any kind of modifications, when I don't do it like too often because I don't have like enough time. But if I retire and I don't continue doing videos for Biomed, I know what I'm going to do. And keep like repairing guitars and stuff like that. I love doing that stuff.
I find it so funny that biomeds will work all day long fixing stuff, and sometimes we'll begrudgingly complain about having all the workload that we have, and then we'll go home to fix stuff. We'll tinker on something. And mine is, doing my video game projects or my at-home projects, or I'll work on my motorcycle, or I always have a project going at home.
I think
And I think
I'm the same. I think that having ADD is like something like every biomed has. We can be like quiet, without doing something and fixing something.
So I am going to put your YouTube channel in the description of the show. So
Thank you
anybody
very
that
much.
watches and is interested,
I'll do the same in mine.
and it's going to be pretty cool. Just kind of seeing where the awards go and everything. You were rightly so nominated, man, and I'm happy for everything that you've just kind of brought to the field and everything that you've contributed thus far. And you're only 20 years in. You got another 20 in you.
Hopefully.
So,
we have like many projects like in the future that I wasn't expecting. Just being nominated for the Technician Awards, the Techies and stuff like that. It has opened like other opportunities because we have been in talk with Technician, with some digital board, and I think that very nice things are coming down the pipeline. So let's see how that works.
you're going to see more of this if you're not tired of it already.
Exactly. I think that we're going to have like much more exposure now, and it's going to be like really nice for everybody involved in the project. So you'll see. Soon.
Also, you'll need to get me the information for your books. I'll put those in the description as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much. By the way, how's Ollie doing?
So, as of this video, the day before, he officially started crawling.
That's awesome, man.
So now
Congratulations.
we were in oh shit panic mode. Everything needs to be baby proof now.
This is the time.
Yeah, he's like, I got to start crawling so I can start grabbing my tool bag and getting that together. So
that's awesome, man. Congratulations with the baby and the book and everything.
Good things happen every now and then. I'm just happy a couple of them happened to me.
That's awesome.
So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of each other. Are you planning on going to the Las Vegas MD Expo or the AD conference?
I wanted to go, but actually I have a family member that is getting married that weekend, so I can't make it. But hopefully for the next MD Expo, I'll try to be there. Do you have any plans of coming on February? They have the Florida Biomedical Society convention over here in Orlando. So if you have a chance, just make the arrangements.
I wish, man. Like I try to tell people all the time, like it's really hard, getting to all these different conferences and engagements. especially when it's on your own dollar. And I'm also having to use PTO most of the time, which I don't. And then also I got a little kid that I can't just leave him.
You have a lot in your plate right now, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm doing what I can, you know, and fortunately enough, it's I'm not the only one in the field doing influency stuff and content and stuff like that. They got folks like yourself and Justin and Mayra and Bryant holding it down. So, you know, I'll just I'll keep turning on my mic and talking, and you know, if I'm able to get out to conferences, I will. Like I said, I do plan on being at the Vegas one, and I do fully I'm I've already been in talks with Amy. I'm going to be interviewing and stuff for Amy on the show floor as well. So
oh, that's nice. Nice
me
opportunity.
yeah. So it'll be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, since I really didn't get out of the house at all last year.
Hopefully you will have like more opportunities in the future. That's awesome.
But man, I appreciate you being on. This has been fun. Like I tell everybody, you don't need to have a script or set questions or anything to come on the show.
No,
like
it's like it's a very friendly environment. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for inviting me. And every time that you need me, just you know where to find me now.
I'm sure we'll do more in the future. We'll find something to talk about for sure. So, like I said, everybody check out the links below. YouTube, books. Probably will even put your LinkedIn in there if people want to reach out to you for some schoolage down in Florida. And you know, I appreciate you being on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Thanks so much for your invite, and have a great day. And you know, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job too.
So for everybody that is watching, listening, wherever you may be taking in the podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Google, iHeart, whatever, it's everywhere. I would appreciate if you give a like, possibly a subscribe or a follow. Be so kind even to hit up www.beardedbiomed.com. Got some good content on there, some extra stuff, blogs, things like that. You can leave a review, voicemail that I can put into the show, all kinds of fun stuff. So be sure to check all that out. As always, I appreciate you tuning in, and may the beard be with you. Take care.
Have a good one, guys.